very labor intensive, and I always appreciated when I was assigned on the team with Stacey to review things, because I knew she did her homework before she got there, that was for sure. We both used activities and active learning in the classroom. Now, I didn't teach child development, I taught accounting. And so that seemed really strange for me to be bringing toys and props and noisemakers to class next door, and sometimes I'd forget them. But Stacey would bail me out, and I was glad to hear Derek shared with me, and some of the grandchildren were able to see her classroom, and there were toys and props and noisemakers, and she'd bail me out so I didn't have to run up 7 flights of stairs and have 42 students waiting, accounting, anxiously waiting for me to get back. And actually I exaggerated, it's not true. She'd bail me out, and there was only 2 stairs, and I wouldn't run. She was passionate, persistent, and feisty. I was glad to hear the other Paula mention that there wasn't always a smile on her face. And that's a good thing. That was a good thing, because she got a lot done. A lot done. And sometimes you needed to be persistent. And who are we kidding? There just can't always be the smiles. And at that time. For many of us, graduation is our favorite night, and it is not for the reason you might think. It's really because, I know for both of our cases, we love seeing the students go across that stage. And that's something I will forever remember and treasure, watching Stacey, as so many of the faculty. It's a tradition here at RCTC, a wonderful tradition where we could read the names of our students as they cross the stage, and to be up there humbly and, joyful and proud of the students that were crossing that stage. Passionate, persistent, and feisty, with conviction toward and a vision for a better world, starting with the families. Be assured, your wife, your mom, Stacey, our friend, she made a difference, and she'll continue to make a difference. Thank you.
Marcia Connolly will now share some memories with us.
I'm Marcia Conley, a retired RCTC instructor with the Child Development Program. The last time I was at this microphone, Stacey and I were announcing students graduating from the program. I first met Stacey at a meeting at the Technical College of Child Development Instructors in the Twin Cities. As instructors, we would meet regularly to coordinate classes, discuss program issues, student recruitment, and so forth. At the time, she was writing columns for the Early Childhood magazine and teaching classes at Minneapolis Technical. Most of the colleges were just beginning to offer a few online courses, and at one of these meetings, Stacey proposed the idea that colleges coordinate their online classes. That way, if a student needed a course to finish the program, they could enroll in the college that was offering that class. Upon successful completion, then the student's credit was to be transferred back to their home campus. The class would count toward their degree. Now, this was early in the 90s and definitely out of the box thinking, but that was Stacey. There were quite a few roadblocks along the way, but with Stacey's tenacity and the cooperation and backing from all of the child development instructors from around the state, all the necessary paperwork, and there was a lot of it, was signed by the presidents and the registrars and eventually approved by the state. That program is called ELECT, Child Development Students Attending Minnesota Colleges Today. are still able to take advantage of this addition to the program so they can graduate in a timely manner, thanks to Stacey. She saw the big picture, made the proposal, and then made it happen. It was a win-win for the students and the programs. And tonight, some of those instructors are here from other colleges, and we appreciate you coming. In the fall of 2007, Stacey came to teach in the Child Development Program at RCTC after the unexpected passing of the program leader, Judy Lindman. Since Stacey was an instructor in Minneapolis, she knew the system and the program. We met several times over the summer to plan how to present classes and organize the lab classroom. Wouldn't you know, right before that, the carpet was replaced over the summer, and we had art supplies covering 6 large tabletops staring at us. What should we do? Organization was Stacey's forte. She had a strategy, and we set up the supplies. She was a tremendous help in getting the semester rolling right away. She helped advise and counsel students on the first day. Stacey and I shared an office and even had the same phone number from the fall of 2007 until the fall of 2010. We shared stories about our families, and I really enjoyed hearing about the children she and Dennis adopted. At this time, they were still quite young. Joe and Vinny became involved in 4-H, and Stacey helped coach them with their projects. They stayed the week at the state fair. Stacey searched far and wide to be able to find the right attire so they could present their 4-H projects. Tyler attended school at the child care on campus for a while, and Mackenzie started school. They lived on the farm, and I heard stories about horses, ducks, geese, turkeys, and dogs, and probably some I didn't hear about. Stacey loved to garden and even visited the Heritage Seed Bank in Iowa to investigate certain vegetables she wanted to try. The first couple of years she and Dennis were involved in CSA. I didn't know anything about it. It stands for Community Supported Gardening, and they prepared vegetables for families to have fresh produce. It was labor intensive at times, but something she enjoyed and pushed to do it. One day she came into the office and told about listening to songs in the car. One the kids really thought was fun was the one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. The tune is probably going through her head because it is contagious. We had a good laugh about that as the kids wanted to hear it over and over. They were in the car quite a lot, living in rural Spring Valley, coming to Rochester most days and going to other states to find the right sheep to be able to harvest a different kind of wool for spinning and dyeing, something she enjoyed doing. They went to auctions to neighboring rural communities. They loved experiencing and driving to counseling. They found a local church to attend. Later, they became a hockey family when Mac and Tyler started that. Stacey was a hockey mom and definitely proud of their accomplishments. In all these excursions, Stacey included the family, searched, investigated, met new people, and throughout greeted folks with her contagious smile and enthusiasm. She continued those connections and communication. People held her in high regard, knowledgeable, respectful, and friendly with that smile all of us have experienced. Stacey had a creative vision regarding the program. It was her experience in some communities there seemed to be few people working with youth who had educational background in that area. Her vision for the program included a youth component. She worked on developing the program from child development to child, youth, and family studies. The program was entitled that for about 10 years. Over time, she saw the need for further changes and recently revamped the program to now be titled Early Childhood Care and Education. The program revision requires tenacity, vision, a large amount of time, and hoops to go through in order to have it approved locally and at the state level. All of this is in addition to classroom and online instruction and grading the ever-present assignments. Each program revision has always included a multicultural, anti-bias education and learning experiences and a class that focuses on children who have special needs, appropriate inclusion learning experiences for them. In fact, the focus is included in all the classes along with working with parents. This reflected her own educational experience. She had firsthand experience with her own children in school and knew the importance of communication, working strategies with parents, no matter their background. Her influence and regard for anti-bias and people with special needs was evident. Stacey continually stressed the importance of meaningful communication in order for children to be successful. She shared her life experiences with students to show that importance. The program has evolved over the years, in part incorporating strategies from Reggio Emilia. Her classroom today at RCTC reflects the latest trends in early childhood education and Stacey's creative imprint on what students can do to incorporate these ideas with the children they work with. On another front, she worked extensively to find a working articulation agreement with four-year college to further education and career choices for students in the program. This articulation was just recently approved and gives students another option for their future. Stacey was encouraging to students to broaden their horizons, to see they could have career options. She showed them possibilities to build on their degree in early childhood care and education at RCTC and earn a four-year degree and maybe a master's. That has happened. There are more and more students here locally that have done just that. Just this spring, Stacey was excited to share the information about a mutual student's achievement of earning a master's degree. This is thanks to Stacey's knowledge about careers in other colleges. Most of all, she gave supportive encouragement and counseling through student hard times and successes. Many times I witnessed her taking the time to listen and counsel students, though deadlines were looming, and probably the family waiting at home. Courageous, caring, encouraging, supportive, tenacious, curious, investigative, knowledgeable, and an advocate for her family, her early childhood, her students, and her community. That and more described Stacey. She enriched our lives. She made a difference in the lives of many, and in turn, the children they work with now and in the future. I offer my sincere condolences to the entire family.
Laurie Hamester is a former student in the early childhood program. She was also Tyler's child care provider, and she serves on the Early Childhood Care and Education Advisory Board.
Thanks, Jennifer. Like Jennifer said, my name is Laurie Hamester, and I was one of Stacey's non-traditional students. I did actually graduate from RCC in 1981, but then I returned to RCTC in 2006 and enrolled in the early childhood education program. I was attending nights, weekends, online. I was raising 2 young children of my own, plus running my in-home childcare full-time. I knew it probably was going to take me quite a while to get through the program and to achieve my goals. My instructor, Judy Lindeman, as well as Marcia Conley, were there to guide me through everything and through the process. And about halfway through obtaining my degree, Judy passed away. When we found out that Stacey was coming to RCTC, we can remember thinking, wow, she has some really big shoes to fill. And she definitely did. But some of us students, and sorry, me included, had kind of a hard time. We're pretty set in our ways, and we weren't too thrilled or too excited about a new instructor coming in with all these different new ideas and all these changes. But once Stacey settled in, we realized that she had a huge passion for early childhood education, and she put her heart and soul into the program. I can remember her telling me one day, Judy got you this far, Laurie, and I'm going to help you finish the rest of your journey. And that she did. I received my degree in May of 2009, and she was cheering me on the way. I can still remember her saying my name and being there for me and being so excited afterwards. Stacey was my instructor. She was also my mentor. She was also my friend. When her son Tyler joined my child care program, she and the rest of her family also became my child care family. For those of you that are in the early childhood field, having an observation done for a practicum or an internship or an evaluation can make you a little bit nervous. Now add the fact that one of the, and I shouldn't say daycare kids, but I do, childcare kids just happens to be the college instructor's son, makes for a very interesting and nerve-wracking experience. I can hear Stacey still telling me, oh, don't be nervous, you're gonna do just fine. She just had that special way that she could make everybody feel good about themselves and feel like they could achieve whatever they wanted to. One special memory I have of Stacey's family being part of my childcare is when they brought a little lamb to show and tell. Do you remember that? What a wonderful experience for the kids, and quite honestly, for this city girl, it was really cool too, for me to be able to hold a little lamb and have the kids sing, Mary Had a Little Lamb. Thank you for that opportunity. It's probably one of my favorite childcare memories that I have, and I was a childcare provider for 20 years, so your family will always have a special place in my heart. I will close with a special quote that has brought me a lot of comfort in the past few years. Death takes the body, God takes the soul. Our minds hold the memories, our heart keeps the love, and our faith lets us know that one day we will meet again. I'm going to hold on to those memories that I have of Stacey, and I'm going to encourage the family and all the friends and co-workers and everything like that to hold on to those memories too. Thank you.
I now have the pleasure to introduce Cassie Dennison, who is an early childhood professional. She met Stacey in 2010 and has long since considered Stacey a mentor and close friend throughout her educational journey.
Good evening. Stacey York, my mentor and close friend. Thank you. You have inspired so many individuals in early childhood educators. You have brought a bright light and a strong voice to the Minnesota early childhood community. Thank you. If not for your deep care, compassion, and instruction, I I would not be standing here today. Stacey, your teachings that you shared about putting children first, establishing relationships, and building trust in our students is what outstanding leadership looks like. Thank you for fueling this passion inside of me when no one else would. I am especially honored to be your pupil and your friend. Every day that I work with young children and child care providers, I see you in everything I do. Your knowledge and teachings will stick with me forever. I love you, and you will be deeply missed. Thank you.
Jenny Shop was a student in the Child Development Program and served on the Focus on the Children Conference Planning Committee. She became friends with Stacey and her family, and she will now share some words.
Hello. I would like to thank Dennis and the family for letting me speak here today. My name is Jennifer Shep, and it was in the spring of 2008 when I lost my job working with children in a community program. Since I didn't have a college degree, my supervisor at the time suggested I go back to school. In the fall of 2009, I went back after a 30-year gap from high school. I was so nervous, my first day of classes. And in walks this lady, arms full of stuff. She drops everything on the table and just looks at us and smiles. I had no idea that she would change my life forever. Stacey had a way of understanding, and it was a key listener. She knew I felt like a fish out of water, and she let me know in many ways how to improve, use my resources, and trust my gut. Stacey gave her students opportunities to learn, not only from instructors at the college, but from speakers brought in for an all-day conference. She wanted to give her students some insight into the variety of teaching styles and how to use materials in a very engaging way. Stacey saw something in me and asked if I would join the team of talented ladies to help be part of the RCTC Child Care Conference. Stacey was very passionate about the speakers we brought in so they would meet the needs of the daycare providers and early childhood educators attending the conference. She also made sure they stayed within the early childhood Minnesota state standards. This was the most wonderful, stressful, and rewarding event I'd ever done. And even though I was still a student of Stacey's, I was able to be a colleague of hers and learn new perspectives, collaboration, and how to look at the big picture. Stacey had a way of pulling you in with her honesty, use of her life experiences, giving you real expectations, and finding your strengths and bringing them out. If she saw students struggling in her class, she would make sure she understood why and was willing to help anyone. I remember how excited she was when she got her furniture and was able to set it up and teach her students how to use the different manipulatives, but the main thing was to be comfortable using any materials in any learning station. Stacey was a strong believer in best practices. She made sure her students were using those in everything they did, from lesson plans, the use of materials and manipulatives, creating connections with children, and understanding the importance of communication. Her mission to her students that she taught is you can make an impact, big or small. So make sure your impact is a positive one. The children you will work with come from a variety of backgrounds, and you will need to learn how to observe, adapt, and meet them where they're at. Between classes and conferences, Stacey and I made a connection when we would have many conversations regarding our families and motherhood. We shared similar struggles, and it was helpful to have each other as a sounding board. Another opportunity to involve our students came up when helping a program Beyond the Yellow Ribbon to put on a Halloween party at RCTC for military families. Knowing that I was a Marine wife, Stacey asked me to be part of the team. It was so much fun. I was able to bring my daughter, and Stacey brought her two youngest as well. Jaden, Mackenzie, and Tyler were great helpers, and when they weren't helping, they were running around having a great time. It was just a simple reminder that Stacey can show you how you can balance family and work. I found myself time after time not being able to say no to Stacey. When she'd asked me one day to go to a conference with her, I was like, what time are we going? We had a great day, fun sessions, and I remember she gave me this look, and she said, can we stop for some yarn? And I was like, yes, we can stop for some yarn. I was given so many opportunities during my time at RCTC, more than I could have ever imagined. And it was all because of Stacey. After college, the opportunities continued because the connections that I made during my time here. When it came to inclusivity, she was a champion. And when she taught her students, it was very evident in her lessons and her assignments. I gravitated towards those. And that's when I realized those were the students that I wanted to work with. I'm a special education para for the Rochester Public Schools. And it's funny, because you guys don't know how many times Stacey's at my head when I'm working with my students. All of a sudden I'll hear, best practice, use your manipulatives, you're out of the box thinker, you got this, big or small, make an impact. But, I'm sorry, my students know that they learn different, but I let them know that that doesn't matter. They are still deserve a seat at the table with everyone else. The lessons I learned from Stacey are still ingrained into me today, and they are priceless. Every student Stacey taught will have a little bit of her in their teaching. Stacey and I stayed connected after college, and my heart is broken that I won't be able to pick up my phone and send her a message or get a Facebook update on the family or work. But what I do know is that I will carry what I have learned from her with the same passion and a smile in her honor. Thank you.
Barbara Moore. Barbara met Stacey in the mid-1980s when they were both invited to join a women's spirituality group. Although the original group disbanded after a couple of years, 7 members continued to get together and support each other for many years through their life passages and challenges. I now welcome Barbara Moore.
I just want to say first, I'm so inspired by everybody's words and everybody's reflections of Stacey from whatever area of your life and her life you connected. As Jennifer mentioned, Stacey and I have known each other since 1987. We were both asked to join a new women's spirituality group. And so the group kind of broke up after a couple of years, but the 7 of us stayed friends. And actually, myself and 2 other members of that group are here tonight. What we did is we got together in a lot of contexts. We celebrated birthdays, weddings, holidays, and occasionally enjoyed weekend retreats. Stacey was the youngest person in our group, but wise beyond her years. I remember celebrating her 30th birthday with our group. She was single then, but a while later, she bought a car from a guy named Dennis Hoffman. And she not only ended up with the car, she got a husband, and over time, 6 children. In 1995, my life partner, Leland Beckus, and I were honored to be asked to sing at Dennis and Stacey's family wedding in Hot Springs, Arkansas, which was attended by humans and dogs. We sang Neil and Leandra's Old Love. More recently, Stacey, her family, and I celebrated her 57th birthday, I think that was about 6 years ago, at the Four Daughters Winery. In the years between the wedding and the winery, we enjoyed sharing holidays, especially Thanksgiving. Both of us had small birth families. We weren't from Minnesota, but we built extended families of friends. Stacey made table decorations with dried flowers from her garden, made fabulous gravy, and baked delicious treats. She loved giving presents. I think Stacey personified celebrating all of life. And I'm kind of wearing this Tree of Life necklace that a friend gave me, thinking about Stacey. So I'd like to share some memories of Stacey from other people in our group. And these are their words. Michelle Murphy. The word that keeps coming to my mind when I think about Stacey is unflappable. Stacey would undertake so much that most of us wouldn't even think of doing. I can remember more than once when I exclaimed, "You're going to do what?" Stacey's response would be her great laugh. We all know that laugh. Besides being in a women's spirituality group together, Stacey and Michelle were in a garden group. Stacey was a wonderful and intuitive gardener. Michelle says, after I heard about Stacey's accident, I went to the garden and contemplated 2 plants she had given me many years ago. One is the lady mantle, which has propagated so well that I've divided some for several friends. The other is meadow rue, a sweet little spring bloomer that never spreads and delights me every year when her feathery gray-green leaves emerge from the garden. She reminds me of Stacey, as this little plant surprises me every year. Stacey was honest, always letting me know what she thought, and if she disagreed with me, I trusted her. Stacey was so generous with her family, friends, and those she met along the way. Stacey was passionate about wanting the best for all children, and she made a career of that passion. Stacey had a strong spirit which will not fade away. Denise Bazants is also here tonight, and here are her words. I think of Stacey as mother of the earth and all beings, always gentle, patient, determined, and fierce. She taught me to move slowly and to notice the tiny sacred things of life. Her laugh was like a warm hug. At times I felt she could see through to the core of all of us, to what was true. I am grateful that I was able to share some years with her, and I continue to feel her presence. As I was cooking something on the stove the other day, I felt her standing with me, enjoying a simple moment, as we had done many years ago. And these are words from Ann Harrington, who was not able to join us tonight. I too have been hearing Stacey's laugh and her voice. She did have such a beautiful spirit, and I recall her bravely starting her own parent-child support practice many years ago on Hennepin Avenue. A quote that I found on a card touched me deeply when I learned that I had breast cancer while on vacation with Wayne, her husband, on the North Shore many years ago. It has given me comfort during other times of shock, loss, and facing the unknown. So I will share it with you. Feel free to pass it on. When you come to the edge of all that you know, you must believe in one of two things: that you will have earth upon which to stand, or that you will be given wings.
We've got an old love, one we never will get tired of, one that fits us like an old glove, one to warm the winter days. And we don't have to say I love you quite as often as we used to. Old love just goes without saying, but we still say it anyway. I met you beneath the willow. We were young, a little shy, but we would sit and talk for hours, watch the river flowing by. And you would laugh at all my stories, and then at dusk I'd walk you home, who'd have guessed we'd walk a lifetime, growing up and growing old. And we've got an old love, one we never will get tired of, one that fits us like an old glove, one to warm the winter days. And we don't have to say I love you quite as often as we used to. Old love just goes without saying, but we still say it anyway. We may not leave this town we live in, and life's not as easy as we planned. I always meant to give you diamonds, but you still wear a plain gold band. And that old river keeps on rolling, and we don't know just what's in store. But in spite of all of this, I don't love you like I did. Oh, I love you so much more. And we've got an old love, one we never will get tired of, one that fits us like an old glove, one to warm the winter days. And we don't have to say I love you quite as often as we used to. 'Cause old love just goes without saying, but we still say it anyway. This old love just goes without saying, but we still say it anyway.
Diana Lamonti is a teacher at Mayo High School. She is Tyler's case manager and has had the privilege of working with Stacey and Dennis for the last 4 years.
I've enjoyed listening to all of your stories tonight about Stacey, and I wished that I had had the opportunity to work with her here. But I did have the opportunity to work with her as Tyler's teacher. And the memory that stays with me the most about Stacey is her warm and welcoming smile. I first met Stacey and Dennis about 4 years ago when I was a teacher at Friedel and Tyler was there. And we were going to have a meeting, and this woman walked in with a stack of paperwork, and I know now that why. She had a stack of papers, and she smiled at me and she said, "Here, this'll help." And I never had a parent hand me papers, and so many, and they were put together so nicely. And I was just taken aback. I was nervous, and I knew this woman knew exactly what she was talking about. And so I didn't even want to go on with the meeting. But we sat down, and I was afraid to look up, but I did, and to start the meeting, and there was Stacey on the other side of the table, and she was smiling at me, and I just knew then that everything was going to be okay. I'll never forget that kindness. it was also very clear to me, that Stacey and Dennis, that you and Stacey were Tyler's strongest advocate. And that for sure, her family and Tyler were her priorities. And she loved you all. The other memory that I have of Stacey is when things got chaotic, and I might have had to email or call her, she was the absolute calm in the storm. And I feel so privileged to have been able to witness that, because that kind of grace that I now understand, or no, maybe not, is so rare. And I will never forget her kindness that first meeting, and her loving spirit, and her warm, loving, infectious smile. My heart goes out to all of you. She was a wonderful woman.
One of Stacey's former students asked me to share something. Her name is Johanna Smith. I am truly heartbroken. Yesterday afternoon, the world lost an amazing person. Stacey York was a bright light to so many people. She was an advocate for children and families. Stacey was passionate about diversity and inclusive education. She taught me so much. She also inspired me to earn my BA from the college that she attended for her master's degree program. I still want to get back into the program, but that's another story. I met Stacey in April 2005. I began the Child Development Associate Degree program at MCTC in August 2005.